Now, this is perhaps one of the most beautiful images you will see in your study of histology. This green-stained outermost layer of dense connective tissue is the sclera. Internal to the sclera is this pigmented layer containing many blood vessels. This is the choroid. Look carefully and notice that the innermost part of the choroid is a single layer of capillaries, the lamina choriovascularis. Further out, in the choroid, the vessels are larger. This organisation reflects the main function of this layer, and that is to supply nutrients for the high metabolic activity of the retina. The innermost layer of the choroid is a cell-free membrane called the lamina vitrea, and sometimes called Bruch's membrane. Internal to the choroid is a single layer of densely pigmented cells, the pigment epithelium, which separates the neuroretina from the choroidal vessels and contributes to the blood-brain barrier. Classically, the retina is described as containing 10 layers, all of which are clearly visible here. I will point out these layers, starting with the pigment epithelium. The retinal neurons located closest to the pigment epithelium are the photoreceptors, rods and cones. Rods are characterized by inner and outer segments which are long and slender, while those of the cones are these fatter profiles and are easily identified by their wider, oval-shaped inner segments. Above this layer of inner segments is the layer of photoreceptor nuclei, which is about 5 to 6 nuclei deep. This is called the outer nuclear layer. Between the inner segments of the photoreceptors and the outer nuclear layer is the external limiting membrane, which appears as just a very thin red line, hardly visible here. The photoreceptors make synaptic contacts with bipolar cell processes and a class of interneurons called horizontal cells in this whitish layer adjacent to the nuclei of the photoreceptors. This layer is called the outer plexiform layer. The inner nuclear layer contains the cell bodies of bipolar cells, horizontal cells, and other interneurons called amacrine cells and glial or Muller cells. It's not possible to classify the cell types within the inner nuclear layer of this preparation. Adjacent to this inner nuclear layer is another whitish region of synapses called the inner plexiform layer. The nuclei of ganglion cells are arranged in another layer called the ganglion cell layer, and the axons of the ganglion cells form the nerve fibre layer. And finally, there is the internal limiting membrane, which is the external basal lamina of the Muller cells or glial cells lying closest to the vitreous. The axons pass out of the eye as the optic nerve. Light must pass through all these layers of neurons in order to reach the light-sensitive photoreceptor outer segments, where it's transduced into a chemical and then a neural signal.